I used to believe I was the heart of our family. Turns out, I was just a free babysitter with a quiet smile. That's how my morning started. Not with drama, not with noise, just that one heavy thought sinking in deeper each day. At 72, I still woke up before the alarm, my old banker's body refusing to forget a lifetime of early shifts. The sun barely peeked through my thin curtains in Santa Rosa as I stood at the window, coffee in hand, watching the quiet street. The house was too quiet, but it had been ever since George passed. 38 years of marriage, and then one day, gone. A heart attack in the middle of watering the garden. I told myself he went peacefully, doing what he loved, but I didn't know how to keep living when the person I lived for was gone. So I did what I thought was right. I sold the house we'd built together. Every corner filled with our laughter, our fights, our late-night dances in the kitchen. I took the money and gave it all to Dylan, our only son. He and Jenna were struggling, raising 2 kids, moving from one cramped rental to another. I bought them a house, a real one. 3 bedrooms, a backyard, near a good school. The only condition? The deed stayed in my name. Not because I didn't trust them, though deep down maybe I didn't, but because George had once told me, "Clara, never give everything away. Leave a door open for yourself." So I did. But in every other way, I did give everything away. I cooked their meals. I picked up Eli and Mara after school. I paid for broken faucets, weekend groceries, even Jenna's dental work last fall. They never asked me to move in, but I was there more than not. I told myself I was lucky. Some women my age are lonely. I had a role, a purpose. But there's a difference between being needed and being used. And one quiet morning, as I poured my second cup of coffee, I wondered if this wasn't a family story anymore. Maybe it was the beginning of a revenge story. It was Mara who let it slip. We were folding laundry together, mostly theirs, as usual, when she said it so casually, like it was common knowledge. "Dad says we'll finally get to swim with dolphins in Hawaii. Oh, and Uncle Keith's coming too." I paused, towel half folded in my hands. "Hawaii?" Mara nodded, eyes glowing. "Yeah, our first real family trip. Mom already booked the flights. We leave next month." She didn't notice the silence that followed. I finished folding in slow motion, my heart sinking into a space it hadn't touched before. "A family trip," she said. But no one had said a word to me. Not Dylan, not Jenna. No, "Would you like to come, Mom?" Not even a passing mention. That night, after dinner, I asked Dylan directly. He looked mildly uncomfortable, like I'd brought up something inconvenient. "Oh, yeah, about that. We figured it might be too much for you, Mom. The flight, the walking, you know, the pace." I didn't respond. He continued, too quickly. "Besides, we need someone to house sit while we're gone. Keep an eye on the place, water the plants. You know the drill." I nodded, just once. There was nothing left to say. The betrayal wasn't loud. It never is. It was casual, like I was just the furniture, always there, never invited. That night, I lay awake thinking, when did I stop being part of the we? Have you ever had that moment when you realized your place in the family had quietly shifted? That you went from beloved to expected? If that's happened to you, I hope you know you're not alone. I really do. The next morning, Jenna called asking if I could watch the kids while she went swimsuit shopping for the trip. "No, are you free? No, do you mind?" Just, "Mom, we need you." So I said yes, again. But inside, something had cracked. And cracks, given time, split things open. The day they left for Hawaii, I was the one who locked the front door behind them. Jenna had kissed my cheek in a rush. Dylan shouted a quick, "Thanks again, Mom," from the car window, and the kids barely looked up from their phones. Then they were gone. I stood there for a moment, hand still on the doorknob, listening to the silence that followed their departure. The house, my house, technically, felt like it didn't belong to me at all. I walked through each room slowly, noticing things I'd somehow never let myself see. There were framed photos lining the walls, Dylan and Jenna on their wedding day, the kids' school pictures, a family BBQ in the backyard, even a goofy shot of Dylan and his brother-in-law on the roof, trying to hang Christmas lights. Not one photo of me. I wasn't in their story, not in the past, not in the future, not even on the walls of the house I bought. That night, I ate dinner alone at their kitchen table. No one had asked if I needed groceries. No one had left a note. It hit me, slowly and all at once. If I disappeared, they'd only notice because no one was there to do the laundry. I think that's what real grief looks like. Not losing someone else, but realizing you've been lost yourself. And no one even noticed. I slept in the guest room, like always. A small, windowless room near the laundry. They never offered the bigger one, even though it used to be mine when I first moved in to help. But maybe that's my fault too. I never asked. I kept shrinking myself to fit their needs, until there was nothing left of me but usefulness. And even that had an expiration date. When Dylan texted me from Hawaii, it wasn't to check in. It was to ask if I could schedule pest control. Something about ants in the pantry. That was the moment. I sat there staring at the phone and whispered out loud, "They don't see you, Clara. Not really. Not anymore." It happened by accident. I was looking for batteries in the old side table drawer, one of the few things I'd brought with me when I moved out of my and George's house years ago. Instead, I found a small padded envelope, yellowed at the edges, tucked beneath some loose cables. My handwriting, labeled, "Important, from George." My chest tightened as I sat down, envelope in hand. I remembered him giving it to me just months before he passed. I was too overwhelmed then, grief, paperwork, moving out, to open it. Somehow, I'd never gone back. I opened it now. Inside was a handwritten letter and a legal document. An old will. The letter started in George's usual neat handwriting. "Clara, if you're reading this, I'm likely gone. And you've probably already given away more than you should. You always do. Please, don't let anyone take from you what you built." My hands trembled. I kept reading. "I know you'll want to help Dylan, but don't forget this. The house is yours. You paid the bills. You raised that boy mostly on your own while I was buried in work. Don't ever question whether you deserve it." Then the will, simple, straightforward, named me as the sole inheritor of all assets. No mention of Dylan, no contingencies. George had known what I'd eventually need. Proof. It wasn't about money, it was about being seen. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't feel angry. I just breathed. For the first time in years, I breathed without guilt pressing down on my chest. The next morning, I called Fern Abbott, an old colleague turned real estate agent. We'd kept in touch over coffee every few months. She always said, "If you ever decide to sell that house, Clara, call me first." So I did. "Is it in your name?" she asked. "It always was," I said, calm as can be. We met the next afternoon. She walked through the house taking notes. "You've kept it in good shape," she remarked. I just nodded. We scheduled a showing for the following week. I didn't tell Dylan. I didn't owe him that, because George had already told me everything I needed to hear. Just not in person, not in time, but still, he said it. And sometimes, a woman only needs to hear it once to finally start choosing herself. I didn't leave in anger. I left like a breeze slipping through a door that had been open too long. The house sold faster than Fern expected. A cash buyer, young family. Loved the neighborhood, loved the layout. Didn't ask too many questions. The paperwork moved quickly. My name on every page. No contest. No obstacles. I signed the final agreement in Fern's office on a Tuesday morning. She asked if I was sure. Twice. I was. That afternoon, I walked through the house one last time. The furniture still smelled like Jenna's vanilla candles. The fridge still had Mara's sticky notes. Don't eat my pudding, and math test Thursday. None of it was mine. None of it ever had been. I left the keys on the counter. Then I took the bus back to my new house in Sierra Meadow, a modest one-story home nestled near the foothills, with a porch swing and a tiny orange tree in the yard. The first morning there, I made coffee and sat on the porch as the sun came up. No one needed me. No one called. And for the first time in decades, I didn't feel anxious about that. I planted lavender by the fence, signed up for a watercolor class at the community center, even bought a used piano and started relearning the hymns George used to hum. The quiet wasn't lonely. It was peaceful. It was mine. The kids didn't know where I'd gone at first. I hadn't told them. Dylan tried calling after they returned from Hawaii. Left one message. Call me when you're done being dramatic. I didn't respond, because this wasn't drama. It was dignity. Some days, I still thought about Eli and Mara. I missed their laughter, their questions, their chaos. But I knew, if I went back, I'd fall into the same patterns. I'd shrink again, fade, and I wasn't willing to disappear for people who didn't see me. A neighbor, Mrs. Emery, stopped by with a homemade pie. Just wanted to say welcome, she smiled. Let me know if you ever want company or quiet. We do both around here. I smiled back. I think I came to the right place. It took them 3 weeks to realize I was gone. 3 weeks before Dylan drove out to Sierra Meadow, Mara in the passenger seat, silent and tense. I saw their car through the kitchen window while I was trimming rosemary from the garden. I didn't move, didn't rush, just waited. They knocked. I opened. Hi, Mom, Dylan said, eyes flicking past me, taking in the modest home, the flowers, the quiet. Mara looked down at her shoes. I nodded. Come in if you want. They stepped inside like visitors, not family. He looked at the old piano in the corner, the watercolor easel by the window. His mouth opened, then closed. You sold the house, he finally said, without telling us. I did. We had nowhere to go. You found somewhere, I replied. He blinked. I don't understand. Why now? Why like this? I walked over to the drawer, pulled out George's letter, and handed it to him. He read it in silence, then again, slower. Mara stepped closer, reading over his shoulder. When he looked up, his face was different, no longer angry, just small. I never knew he wrote this. I did, I said quietly. I just forgot who I was for a while. I guess we forgot too, he whispered. There was a long pause. Mara finally spoke, her voice thin. Grandma, are you mad at us? I looked at her and smiled gently. No, sweetheart, I'm not mad. I'm just done pretending I don't exist. Dylan looked like he wanted to cry, or run, maybe both. I wish you'd said something before, Mom. I did, I said, just not with words. They didn't stay long. No promises to visit again, no offers to reconnect, and that was fine. Because when they left, I felt light, not angry, not triumphant, just free. That night, I sat on the porch with a cup of tea, watching the sun sink behind the trees. A soft breeze moved through the garden. I could smell lavender, earth, and peace. No more waiting by the phone. No more bending to be useful. I was Clara Monroe, and I had a name long before I was Mom. A message to you, watching this. If you've ever given and given, until there was nothing left of you, if you've ever been the invisible glue holding everyone together, this is your reminder. You deserve to be seen, even when no one's clapping. You don't need a stage, you just need space, and you're allowed to claim it. Tell me in the comments. Have you ever walked away quietly and realized that was your loudest act of strength? I'd love to hear your story, because someone out there might need to know she's not alone either.